Welcome to round number 2 of the round number 5 of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's Sunday, which means the second day in this beautiful countryside of Most. As you can see, for example, the Heavening Castle up on the hill there, but we do not have time to visit that castle, of course, because this castle is on a hill overlooking the track with the unique charm of this racetrack here at the Autodrome in Most. And we're going to see much more racing experience today. And of course, Norbert Kirsch, he secured his 14th victory of the season yesterday. And Jochen Hahn, 2 times second place. He's absolutely eager for more. And it was the Saturday of Mark Taylor leading the Chrome class from start to finish line. He was absolutely happy about that, and the team also. So Steffi Halm, the team, they worked very, very hard. They had minor issues this morning, but all is solved and all is set for the qualification number 2 at this race weekend. And who is going to be the pole setter? And of course, it's much more interesting to see also the places there behind. Who is going to take the lead at the race number 3 this weekend? And of course, as we're talking about the atmosphere here and all the charm that we do see here at the Moss, we do hear our charming voices, our commentators. Welcome to Drakot, Fonsi Sebrian, and of course Joachim Eberts. 3 languages and 1 heart for truck racing.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, great to be back for Sunday, the second day of the weekend here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And after a very dramatic day yesterday, all the drivers, I think, will be hoping for a bit of a chilled one this time round. We had a few incidents at the start of both races yesterday. Only our 2 broadcasts yesterday after not having qualifying broadcasted. So I'm intrigued to see how this format works today with our very first broadcast of the day for you all. It's going to be great conditions again by the look of it as they do battle around this fantastic circuit. 21 corners to think about for our drivers, and this, as I mentioned yesterday, is a circuit with only 2 layouts, and basically the second layout only gets rid of the first chicane. It is a very, very tough place to go racing, and it's a really technical circuit where the drivers have to be on it all of the time. It's not really a track where you get multiple lines through every corner, so you have to be properly on it in the braking zones if you're going to try and make a move. And at the end of the day, we've seen drivers overdo it sometimes and lose out on positions by being the one that's trying to overtake. Just over 4 kilometres, 21 corners as mentioned, and that tight and twisty section on the left-hand side of that track map there through turn 6 all the way down to turn 10 is a real pinch point. The conditions are usually the talking point, though, as we head to Czechia. We've had a massive amount of downpours in the past. We've also had baking hot sunshine as well. It gives us the best of both worlds, this place. But as the drivers and teams saw yesterday, nearly 30 degrees all day, a very, very hot day with very little wind as well. It's quite up high in the hills, but still, the wind does not really affect us. We'll have a look back at some of the best pictures from yesterday, though, with what was quite a dramatic day's racing with some fantastic action throughout. The sun was beaming down on everybody just before lunchtime, before the first race of the weekend. Fans out in their very strong numbers, as we always get here at Most. And it was Norbert Kirsch and Jochen Hahn on the front row of the grid. A great qualifying for André Kurzim put him right at the sharp end as well, but unfortunately put him right into trouble as well as he went straight over the chicane on the first lap. Norbert Kirsch had to take slight evasive action, but it was André Kurzim and Antonio Albacete that dropped down a bunch of positions as per the drama at the very start. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez had lost ground as well and wanted to come through the order to try and get past his chrome rivals, and it was Sascha Lenz making the great moves near the front of the order to get past Steffi Halm. John Newell put up a great defence for most of the race in front of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, but a slight mistake through the first chicane gave that one up, and Norbert Kirsch took his 14th win of the season, 16th podium appearance for him, as he was joined on the podium once more by Jochen Hahn and Sascha Lenz. For the second race of the day, as usual, we had our reverse grid with the top 8 positions flipped the other way around. That really helped out Antonio Albacete and put him on pole position alongside John Newell, both of them looking for potential points from the reverse grid race after a bit of a tough time in race 1. We had fantastic shots of the engineers shouting go for all their drivers, but it wasn't go for long for John Newell. Unfortunately, contact with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez on the exit of turn 1 put him in the gravel and out of the race, and it also meant that that sector was covered by yellow flags. There were great charges back through the order, though, by Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and by Norbert Kirsch, making his way past Sascha Lenz, and then in turn, Steffi Halm on his way to another podium, his 17th of the year. At the very front, though, Antonio Albacete stretched away and was eventually almost caught by Jochen Hahn. A great chase right to the end, but a 1-2 for the old boys, as Jochen dubbed them, was great action. But back down to Christina.
This is the important corner right now. They're going slightly up the hill here, lining up for the first qualification of the day. As you mentioned, the sun is beaming down, but it is a bit dizzy this morning. But I'm sure we're going to see some clear sky. Antonio Albacete, he's coming right now at the corner, and he had a wonderful day yesterday, finishing first in the second race, absolutely cheering. And as you can see, the team of T-Sport Bernau, they were so happy with the result of Antonio Albacete yesterday. So maybe he can also finish on the podium today. And also congrats to the team of T-Sport Bernau. They received also a sustainable accreditation, and it was famous for them that they really are sustainable. And of course we do see Clemens Hecker turning around the corner. It's very good to see everyone. Also John Newell, he was out yesterday at the race due to an incident with José Eduardo Rodrigues, and this is the news of the day, that the number 38 truck driven by Rodrigues, after the incident he received a penalty as the stewards monitor the video footage of yesterday's race number 2. It was in this special situation, Rodrigues was on the outline and not leaving enough space for John Newell, and he had the, of course, better position with a shorter trajectory, but the decision impacted, of course, the standings of race number 2, and Clemens Hecker finished then on the podium on 3rd place after race number 2. So of course the Portuguese team, trying to get back those lost points from yesterday, competing today. So back to you, Chess, for qualifying.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, great to see the trucks making their way back out onto the circuit. And yeah, as rightly mentioned there, a penalty was applied to José Eduardo Rodrigues for that incident that we saw yesterday. So he dropped down the order a little bit. That means that the championship standings are slightly different now, but only a few drivers were affected by that. Henrik Clemens Hecker gains himself a podium, which will now become his 4th podium of the season. That means that José Eduardo Rodrigues now goes back down to 13 podium appearances, but still a lot on his tally for 2024. There's only 5 points between Stefan Fass and Mark Taylor in the Chrome Championship battle at the moment, but they're battling over 2nd place. José Eduardo Rodrigues now has 210 points. He would have lost, I believe, 3 points for that result yesterday, but nothing too untoward for him. He's having a great campaign so far. A big dent in that campaign, though, was obviously at Zolder when they broke the engine on the Saturday afternoon, basically. It was during qualifying, I do apologise. During qualifying 2 on the Sunday at Zolder, the engine was completely destroyed, and they had to go back to Portugal to get their spare engine between race meetings and then come back to Nürburgring. We're going to go back to some of our wonderful footage from yesterday, though, and we're going to go back to the wonderful moment where Christina caught up with Bradley Smith during the autograph session.
Absolutely important for young fans here to getting an autograph. We're trying to sneak through to talk to Bradley Smith again. He's signing again. So Bradley, what was your experience so far in this weekend?
Yeah, it's been a good weekend. It's good to learn the track and to race here, and it's a very tight first corner here at Moss, so first race was eventful. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good.
There's more to practice. This is important right now, your autograph.
Oh yes.
Looking good, everyone.
Bradley's going to have to get used to signing a lot of those. He really is a star of truck racing, is Bradley. You're a lovely young lad and a very talented racer as well. Always developing, always getting quicker as well. And he's working closely with Don't Touch Racing this season as well. Andre Kurzim's team, they are working hand in hand to make sure that he has everything behind him that he could possibly need to continue this great development into the driver that he already is, to be honest with you. In the British Series, he's been going very well as well. Gets his elbows out and gets amongst the best of them. There he is in the number 33 MAN, making his way down the pit lane, wearing the Don't Touch Racing colours for this season. It's been great of them to sort of take him under their wing and have him alongside, like I say, Andre Kurzim, very experienced truck racer, multiple race victories and podiums under his tally as well. And Bradley will be hoping to use that to his advantage here today, especially as qualifying is right around the corner. It's one of the most important sessions of the day. Don't forget we have 3 qualifying sessions effectively. We have Q3, 2 and 1, and then it goes into filtering to the top 12 and then into the top 6. I think with the layout that we've got here, because we've got 13 trucks, we would only lose 1 from the first session. So I think we go straight to having 6. I'll have to get that confirmed, actually, because we obviously didn't broadcast qualifying yesterday, so it wasn't of my information. We'll go back down to Christina while I try and go and find that out.
Absolutely. And since we talked about the 10 seconds penalty, we want to know how the team reacted on the decision of the stewards. So, como reagiu o time a penalidade de 10 segundos?
Não ficámos satisfeitos porque depois tivemos a analisar os vídeos mesmo com os stewards e era o critério não... Eu, pelo meu ponto de vista e pela equipa, foi um acidente de corrida. Mas pronto, eles decidiram uma penalização de 10 segundos e a gente agora tem a coisa de se motivar para ter uma boa classificação e uma qualificação razoável para a primeira manga.
So you said, of course, the team perspective is slightly different. Yeah, they've been also watching the videos and said it was a race incident, but of course the steward's decision, it is set, and he said it should be a motivation for the team today, gaining more points and of course trying to get the best of the qualification. Então a punição foi justa ou não?
Não, após a gente analisar os vídeos não foi justa, de maneira alguma. Aquilo foi um acidente de corrida e pronto, a gente não está de acordo, mas pronto, eles decidiram assim e a gente tem que respeitar, que é a nossa finalidade aqui nas corridas dos caminhões.
Of course, he's saying, yes, we do accept and of course we do respect the steward's decision, but of course he's saying we don't think that this is a justification for that decision, and he said it was a race incident, so that's the inside perspective, of course, of the team. Mas tem uma boa oportunidade hoje de recuperar os pontos.
A motivação é grande, portanto vamos tentar recuperar os pontos perdidos de ontem.
So he said, yes, Ewa was trying to interfere my question to him because I said, yes, you have a good opportunity. And he was like, yes, we do want to take those points back. As you can hear and feel, they're absolutely high motivated and in the focus line. This is a crucial moment because the team, despite of the warm-up and testing right now, this is what counts, the new format of 3 qualifications in a row. It is time to set a good time. And then, of course, we do see more as the qualification is heating up, Chaz.
Yeah, it's good to get the perspective of the other teams as well involved. At the end of the day, it's one of those things in motorsport. There's always 2 sides to a story. There's obviously takes 2 to tango when it comes to a racing incident and, of course, any sort of contact on the circuit. So thank you to Jose Rodriguez for taking the time to speak to us there. We look forward to seeing how Jose Eduardo gets on today. He'll be fired up to now bounce back from what happened yesterday. And I'm sure that we're going to see some strong driving from him. As always, he's really, really one of the drivers that you don't mess with, is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. He's rapid, absolutely rapid, doing very well in the Chrome class. Obviously leading the championship charge there and hoping to make the most of it once again for this second day. Norbert Kish then winds it up out of the final corner and he will head across the line in this 15-minute session. 12 minutes on the clock as he crosses the start-finish line then to be the first driver to put a time on the board. It's not representative as of yet. These are just their out laps. He's done a 2-minute 58.7, and I can tell you that we're going to be going a lot faster than that over the course of this session. He makes his way out of turns 1 and 2 then, the first chicane. Oh so tight corner around there. Like Bradley Smith said, it's a really, really tight first corner here at Most. It's a very important part of the circuit. Make sure you get a good run out of turns 1 and 2. Down towards this section here, the little right-hander there into turn 6, which is the left. Turns 7 and 8, both of the right-handers. Almost like one long corner, really, turns 7 and 8 if you hook it up properly. And flick it left through turn 9. Straighten the truck up as much as possible, hard onto the brakes into turn 10. And then manage the power, manage the momentum on the exit. The circuit looks a little bit darker than it was yesterday. It's not quite as hot as it was yesterday afternoon. Obviously, these qualifying sessions take place more in the mornings than anything else, so the track doesn't have as much chance to heat up so much. Friday's qualifying session took place late in the afternoon though, so the circuit was roasting, and the drivers said that it made a big difference to how the tyres behaved over the course of a session. You had to take a completely different approach to it. we will often see that the drivers put a time on the board, and then some of the drivers that are high up in the order will go through and just sit in the pit lane for the remainder. They'll save the truck and not overdo it, as long as they know that they're through to the next part of qualifying. So Q1, qualifying 1 that we have here, is all of the trucks go out on the circuit. We have a 15-minute session, and then one truck, unfortunately, in the layout that we've got this weekend, will be struck off from the order. The remaining 12 will then go back out on the circuit for another 10-minute session, and their times will be reset. They have to set a new lap time from there. And then we have a final 5-minute shootout with the top 6 trucks that will all go out together to rearrange the top 6 in the order for the grid later on today. It's exactly 2 minutes 2 for Norbert Kish, 2 minute 2.000, and then 222 for Sasha Lenz, 222 thousandths of a second off, 0.2 of a second. Jochen Hahn just behind him, Antonio Albacete close as well, Andre Kurzim, Steffi Halm 1.4 seconds off the pace there. She won't be too pleased with that. She'll want to go again. She's got enough time though to take a bit of a cooler lap just to slow it down and then get back up to pace again. We'll often see that with the drivers. You'll see now that most of them will just sort of creep around the circuit. A lot of these will be going into the pit lane from this point now. Andre Kurzim moves up into 5th place. Mark Taylor is now 6th. He's the fastest driver at the moment in the Chrome class. He's ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Stefan Fast, then Louis Requenco and Steffi Halm. Clemens Hecker is 11th. John Newell is 12th. Bradley Smith in 13th place now. So let's not forget, we have the top 12 going through from this first part of the session. Just looking at the times on the right-hand side of our timing board here, and to be fair, it's so close in amongst that Chrome category as well. If you look at Louis Requenco back even then to Steffi Halm and Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, there's barely 0.2 of a second between those drivers. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Stefan Fast only separated by 0.5 of a second as well. And considering that it's a 2-minute long lap as well, it's pretty impressive that it's all so close. But it's Norbert Kish once again at the top. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez might go again here, but at the end of the day, his current position isn't going to be cemented on the grid at the very end. So as long as he's through to the next part of the session, he'll be okay, I think. He'll be pretty happy with that. It'll only be from the next point onwards that he'll really want to ramp up the pace, because Mark Taylor in 6th position at the moment. Well, if this was Q2, he'd be going through into the final shootout from this point. Stefan Fast is currently 8th, Requenco 9th, Steffi Halm down in 10th. She'll still be going through to the next part of qualifying. And she's got a good 0.8 of a second over John Newell, who needs to just make sure that Bradley Smith doesn't outdo him at the end. You can hear the horn in the pit lane there, warning everybody that machines are entering the pit lane. The pit lane warning siren, always pretty interesting and unique around a lot of circuits. It looks like everybody making their way in now. We've got Antonio Albacete, Steffi Halm also coming into the pit lane, so she's clearly sufficiently happy with the time that she's set that isn't going to kick her out of the session. And we've had a red flag, actually, I'm told. Just had information through. Thanks again to Daria, who is sending me the information from down in race control. We've had a red flag. I'm not quite sure if one of the trucks has had an issue and had to stop out on the circuit or something. Bradley Smith there making his way into the pit lane. But very strangely, session red flag. There's Jochen Hahn back into the pits safely. Switches the engine off. They don't make the most elegant of noises when they switch off these racing machines. But really not sure what's caused that red flag. I'm just trying to see which of the drivers are back into... that'll be it. That's Stefan Fast off at the side of the road. Another technical issue for Stefan and the team. That's gutting stuff. They've had a lot of unreliability with this truck. They had issues in qualifying at Zolder as well earlier in the season. Stephanie, you can see, clearly dejected by that, very fed up with the issue. That's not even far from the end of the lap either. That's down towards turn 20. That's the penultimate corner. So clearly he's lost power somewhere between turns 17 and 18 as he's gone up the hill, and it's just not made it to the corner, I'm afraid. So we'll have to wait for the truck to be recovered. It gives all of the teams a good chance, though, to sort of reset and go again. So a lot of them will see that as a bit of a blessing. Potentially Steffi Halm in particular. I would have expected that Steffi would have gone straight back out onto the circuit, but maybe into the pits, try and figure out a few changes to the setup or just change the tyre pressures a little bit and then go from there. But no, seemingly not. Mark Taylor will be happy. 6th place at the moment. Doing a very, very good job indeed. His team just checking over the tyre pressures as well. Stefan down there with one of the marshals to get the truck away from the circuit. I think they've got a recovery vehicle just in front. It's only on the grass, so it shouldn't really take much of a pull to move it out of there. Apparently the steering is broken. Down to Christina, though. She might have more information for us.
Yes, as you mentioned, Mark Taylor, of course, we want to talk to him. P number 6, but we do have a break right here. I tried to sneak the microphone through in here. So how do you deal with the red flag situation right now?
It'll give us time now. We can let the truck cool down and get ready to go out for the second time of qualifying and hopefully do the same again.
So what do you check in those kind of breaks right now? You said you're cooling down. Of course, the conditions are slightly different than yesterday. It's a bit more dizzy here. It's not so boiling down. So how do you deal with that?
Just lets the truck cool, or the tyres, the brakes. It's just letting it reset. So it's not overheated for when we go out for the next session.
Do you cool down also, or do you stay in the zone?
I'll stay in the cab, ready to go again.
Thank you very much. So Stefan Faas is out, and of course we do see much more breaks in here. Let's come and have a look. All the teams taking selfies right now without a camera. Hello. Time for everything right now. Let's go down to Andre Kursum and talk to the second team right now. But since we do have much more time here, and so the Don't Touch Racing team, we saw Bradley Smith finishing, but we need to wait till John Newell gets through. Don't know, take a risk here for the personnel. Safety first. He's the last truck to coming in. So let's knock on the door from Andre Kursum. Hello, good morning. Slightly different than expected. We do see more time. How do you deal with the red flag situation and cooling down situation right now?
Yeah, we don't know what happened now, and for us it will be no problems. We got a fast lap and go to the pit lane, and yes, now we have to wait what happened, and we have to know what happened, and then we will see.
So it's breaking news then. No, it's Stefan Faas' truck out, and as we can see it, he needs to be towed out because it's standing in the gravel there. So that might take some couple of minutes. When did you get the information to turn on? As soon when the red flag situation occurs, how do you react and how fast is it? Because it was so fast, we couldn't even see what happened then on the truck.
Okay, we know in a few of seconds that we have a red flag situation. The reason, for the first time, it doesn't matter, but we know red flag, you have to keep cool and go back to the pit lane, and the rest, hopefully everything is okay and we can go the rest of the qualifying.
How great it is to have all the marshals here on site, of course, in those situations, helping you out, all the drivers.
Yes, we saw every morning the marshals go by track, and yes, it's very important for us, the safety for the spectators, and yes, it's the most important thing for everybody here.
Absolutely it is. Thank you very much, Andre Kursum. Back to you, Chas.
Thank you, Christina. Yeah, great to hear from the drivers during this little bit of downtime here. I imagine they all find it very, very welcoming to have these moments where they can just sort of chill it out a little bit and, like I said, take a bit more time to reset between sessions out on circuit. I'm unsure whether we will get the remaining 6 or so minutes back on the session, whether they will resume it from there or whether they will just decide to go into Q2. I'm not quite sure if that would be completely fair on Bradley Smith, but a lot of the time the series does have to sort of not sacrifice time so much, but give back time if there's been a stoppage to make sure that other events over the course of the day, because we are sharing the circuit this weekend with other championships, just to make sure that there is no delay to other proceedings and a big knock-on effect, basically. So I'm intrigued to see what happens as a result of that. Sharing is caring, as the director has rightly told me, and he's absolutely right. We have to share the circuit fairly with everybody around us. This is our allotted time, and as part of the championship, if there is an issue or anything that goes on, and obviously it's the responsibility of the series and the drivers and everyone involved. Still, it's good to be at Most for this round of the championship. It's become a real staple of the calendar here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And we thank, of course, our partners, Yoast and Total Energies as well. You can see the green fifth wheels on the trucks with the Total Energies branding. And someone that's going to have a big smile branded across his face is Antonio Albacete after yesterday's turnaround with his race win. He's with Christina.
Absolutely, he's opening the net. Thank you very much. I can secure that. Antonio Albacete, yesterday you had a big smile on your face. Our English commentator said that, of course, due to the win. And how do you enjoy those moments still on the competition level high this weekend?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very high level this weekend, and the win yesterday was very good. You know, we were very, very happy. And I mean, let's hope that today we are at the top also. You know. And we can win another race. It's going to be difficult because, as you said, the competition is very high. We are very close with the times, so it's not going to be easy to be in the two front rows. But I will try to be there.
Absolutely. So the timings this morning is so close to each other, because also maybe everyone is testing here at Most and the track is well known, and also the experience from yesterday. The weather conditions are very, very fine. So what are the key moments on the track? What makes the difference then?
Well, I don't know. It's going to be difficult, you know. I think it has to push and try not to make any mistake, you know. I mean, we have, if we are in the top 6 and we are in the last round, it's just one lap, you know. You just have one go. So the key is not to make any mistake.
Yeah. So you're referring to the third division of the qualification, and of course the timing is so close that you only just got one shot. It's almost like hip-hop wisely talking about that. So as you can see, it is very, very calm right now. Thanks everyone on the track working so hard to get Stefan Faast's truck out, and the teams are really having a nice chat right now. The drivers, they need to stay in their zone. That's very difficult for them, but I know they can be heating up very quickly if demanded.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really admire most about racing drivers is how quickly they can just switch it on and just be right back into the theme of just doing what they do best at the end of the day and being ruthless racing drivers. There's Tim Frost, the big dog at T-Sport Burnau. Here you can see the aforementioned Total Energies fifth wheel with the lovely little shark fin on there. They're actually huge in person as well, these shark fins. They look like they'd be really small, but they are pretty hefty bits of kit that now bolt onto those fifth wheels. There's mixed reviews from the drivers and teams. Some of the old school racers don't really like the look of it so much, I've heard, but I really enjoy them. I think they look fantastic. It's a lovely addition. I think I've mentioned it before that because it's such a tiny aerodynamic piece on what is such a huge vehicle, makes no difference whatsoever in terms of any handling or anything else, and I think it just looks the part. It's the size of it relative. There is Stefan Faast's Scania on its way in. Seems like part of the bumper is missing. I'm not sure if some of the trucks, I think the bumpers aren't completely one piece. They're sort of like two parts that have a join in the middle, so I'm not sure if they've just taken off that front right piece to be able to get the truck towed away. But it looks like the bumper has had some sort of damage there, but obviously trucks being big, they always get recovered by an even bigger truck. We're told that the pit exit will be open at 10:15 local time, so that's in just a minute's time. And I think qualifying 1 will resume with full time as planned. And we'll see which of the drivers go back out on the circuit. I imagine Bradley Smith will go out there. At the end of the day, he's 13th at the moment. John Newell is heading back out onto the circuit. Bradley Smith is the only driver at the moment that wouldn't make it through into the next part of qualifying. There's Steffi Helms, number 44, Iveco. You can see the beautifully branded Goodyear tyres on the machine. Goodyear, the title sponsor of the championship, bringing forward great sustainability measures with the retreading procedures that they have for the tyres. So a lot of the tyres that you see on our race trucks over the course of a weekend like this will end up on road-going trucks as well in the logistics and haulage industries. They get sent back to the factory by Goodyear and retreaded and then repurposed, so there's very little waste from the tyres that get used in the series. As you can imagine, we go through a lot of them in a year, and the majority of them do end up going back. Obviously, there are some that aren't quite in usable condition for road-going trucks after a race weekend, but they do a fantastic job at making sure that as many as possible go back into the world of haulage and logistics. So John Newell at the moment, the only truck out there on the circuit. I think Bradley Smith has actually just headed back out onto the track as well, because a new time has just come up for him on the timing software. It says he was in the pits for 10 minutes and 45 seconds. That's not quite a rapid final sector, is it? But I'm sure that he is back out on the circuit now, because he has triggered the timing beam at Sector 1. But John and Bradley both trying to chase down their competitors in the Chrome class at the moment. It's Mark Taylor top of the pile there ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Not much time between those two. Stefan Fass in third. I don't think he'll lose his position for being the reason that the red flag came out. I don't think we apply that rule here. But John Newell certainly on the brink here. He's up against it. He's 1.2 seconds quicker than Bradley Smith at the moment. But Bradley... John knows in particular, he's raced alongside Bradley for a while. He knows that Bradley can find that sort of time over the course of a lap. So you can't take any chances, and he obviously wants to improve his position anyway, get closer to the likes of Heinrich Clemens Hecker, who currently sits in 11th place, 5th in class. There you can see on the left-hand side just how many of our trucks are in the pits. It's the top 12 that will go through. So John Newell knows that he needs to get on it now to try and just get away from that danger zone with Bradley Smith just behind. Just 4 minutes left on the clock. That's barely, as he crosses the line, barely 2 laps actually here at Most. Not sure he will get a second lap in, so I'm pretty sure that he'll go for this one and then wind it down into the first chicane then. Sweeps it in. It looks like they go really wide of the apex there, but it's just a really late apex. There's a lot of curb on the second part of the chicane as well, and even a bit of runoff on the right-hand side on the exit too. And swooping down the long turn 4. It goes slightly to the right now. That's counted as turn 5. Just as they clip that curb on the right, you see the trucks bobble around on the brakes as John guides it through turn 6. Then 7, the right-hander straightens it up for just a moment, then chucks it into turn 8. Into turn 9, and then hard on the brakes. You see the nose of the truck dive down into turn 10. Carry the momentum through past the apex. Little bit of input on the exit there just to get the front end to turn. It didn't quite grip up as he expected it to at first, or how we wanted it to. There's turn 12, down into what looks like, I always say it looks like the old hairpin at Donington Park here in the UK. Here's Bradley Smith now into turn 10, and look at that, a late, wider line from Bradley to try and cut in and take a tighter exit. Up through the gears he goes to head back down the hill. It's a very roller coaster style lap, this place. There really isn't any part of it other than the start-finish straight that's actually straight. They get a slight straight line run down towards turn 20, and even this here, that's not a straight. It looks it from our camera, but there's actually a long left sweep to that there at turn 14. Under the bridge at turn 15. Bradley using a lot of the curb on the inside there. Kicks up a little bit of dust. Manages the weight well for turn 16. And then he's got the 90-degree right-hander at turn 17, which, with the way these drivers drive it, doesn't look like it at all. John Newell round the final corner then across the line. His best lap previously was a 2:04.114. He does improve. It's a 2:03.9. It's much closer to Heinrich Clemens Hecker. He's only half a second off at this point, but it's not enough to move him up another position. If Bradley can do a decent enough lap here, he should be okay, but he's had a bit of a poor middle sector as Bradley. He's about a second off in the middle sector alone from what John has done. 2:05.3 to beat for Bradley, and it's a 2:06.2 this time round. But he does have the opportunity to complete this lap, so he can carry on and finish this one. Is he going to? That's the question, because often in qualifying the drivers will go for a lap and then you'll see them wind it down for a lap and then chill out again. Now, it does look to me like Bradley's pushing here. So he's trying everything he can just to even close up the gap. Just a bit of recuperation, a bit of a consolation if he doesn't make it through, is to at least beat his time in qualifying. Bradley always looking to improve, always looking to get quicker and quicker. It's a big adjustment coming into the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's not easy to just jump in and be on the pace. Many drivers have been in and said that before. But Bradley, using the experience that he's had from here in the UK, combining that with the added knowledge from Don't Touch Racing and the support that they and Sven Volter are giving him to hopefully continue and improve through turn 13, through the long left at turn 14. And he'll be hard on the brakes now before heading back down the hill. Again, just diving that front right wheel inside the curb. It really dips away and there's quite a lot of grass and dust inside there, but it does help hook that front end round, give it a bit of added rotation. Looks to me like John Newell's still pushing as well. Very, very close to, I think he did hit the penalty marker on the exit there, not to get him in trouble. Across the line he goes, and he does improve again, a 2:03.7 that time. He won't get a chance to do another lap. The checkered flag comes out, and that is Q1 completed. Let's see if Bradley can improve this time around. He's a little bit quicker in the middle sector here, actually a lot quicker than his previous lap. Look at that, sideways around the final corner, kicking the back end out as he gets on the power, up through the gears, and across the line at 100 miles an hour. And he does a 2:05.4. He was a tenth of a second off his best time after all of that. So close. He almost matched John in the middle sector, but the time was lost in sectors 1 and 3. Unfortunately, 0.8 of a second off towards the end. We're going to go back down into the pit lane, though. Steffi Halm has made it through in 10th place, though. Not quite what she would have wanted, but still, she's through into Q2, and she's with Christina.
Yeah, absolutely. She's through, and there are situations as a driver which are absolutely easy, and some situations which are slightly different, like losing a steering wheel. What happened there?
I don't know exactly. The truck started to shaking, and then during the braking and after, I had the steering in my hand, so I was not able to steer. That was also the problem, that I couldn't move the truck away. We fixed it. It was just a little part, but you're not able to drive without a steering wheel.
Absolutely not. So no duct tape here. It's all properly fixed. I can see it. How do you deal right now with the situation? You made it through the next qualification round. Right now, able to take a fresh start there.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's important to come in Q2 and after in Q3. So we are working for that. Everything is fine. Everything is working fine. So the first step is done. It's not so difficult to come in part 2, but then after in part 3. But yeah, everything is fixed, everything is prepared, so we'll go for it.
So you don't leave the steering wheel right now. You're testing every second and checking if it's still there.
No, I just leave it all the time there. So, and all the time when I put the steering wheel the first time on, I just scrap a little bit if it's correctly on. That's I do all the time, but the thing what happened, you can do nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Yeah, of course, she needs to take out the steering wheel later then to get out of the racetrack. But right now, it's time for another round in the qualification, Chaz. The engine's getting started.
Yes, indeed. Back and ready for qualifying 2 then. So this second session a little bit shorter, and just the top 12 in the field go through. I think John Newell's time at the end of the session just got removed. Just checking now, if you bear with me. Yes, it did. He had a penalty marker in turn 21, the final corner, yeah. So that little clip of that penalty marker that we saw means that his lap time was deleted from qualifying there, but his other time was fast enough to still be ahead of Bradley Smith. So John Newell does go through into qualifying 2. Bradley Smith, unfortunately, does not, but it means that the team can get back to the paddock a little bit earlier and get working on whatever they need to. John makes his way back into the pits. They'll check over the tyre pressures and everything before he will then head back out. I suppose that's the caveat to these qualifying sessions. For the drivers and teams, it's very difficult because they have to then go straight back out onto the circuit again and get ready to set more times. And especially if you're one of the trucks that's right on the brink at the end of Q1, you're just basically coming into the pits, changing your tyre pressures and then getting on with it. You've got Terry Gibbon down there with Stefan Honens, who we spoke to yesterday. Stefan gave us some lovely words about the incredible man that we lost recently, David Atkins. There's Richard Keinberger, the photographer, doing a wonderful job as always. He's always in the right place at the right time, is Richard. It's terrifying how good a photographer he is. A very talented man. He's been in the paddock many years. I think when I spoke to him in Germany, I think he said something like he's only ever missed 2 truck Grand Prix since like 1996, or 2 truck events since 1996, something like that. It's remarkable, his commitment and his ability as well. I do enjoy a bit of photography, but I tell you, nothing on what Richard can do. It's incredible stuff. Like I say, it's all about being right place, right time. And I don't ever really see him stood still unless he's taking a picture. Anyway, we have the trucks ready for their second part of qualifying. Norbert Kish and Sascha Lenz, the front 2 there. So they go out in the order that they just finished qualifying 1 in. And the green flag waves at the end of the pit lane. And they will now head out onto the circuit. Quick shout out to my good friend Adam Weller, by the way, fellow commentator. We share the circuit this weekend with the Euro NASCAR Championship, and Adam is commentating on their series. So Adam's watching along with our qualifying session before they have their necessary sessions coming up later on in the day. And we now have trucks back on circuit. Norbert Kish leading Sascha Lenz, Jochen Hahn, Antonio Albacetti, Andre Kurzim, Mark Taylor, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, Louis Requenco, Steffi Halm, Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, and John Newell. Obviously, we do not have Stefan Faas headed out onto the circuit. He had a steering issue, and the truck is back into the paddock, I am well informed. Many eyes and ears on the ground, you see, in the paddock. Me. Got a lot of people that, to be fair, I mean, I must give a massive thank you to so many people in the paddock. I'm not going to name everybody because we'd be here all day, but there's so many people in amongst the paddock that when I'm not there on a race weekend, I get fed so much information. People message me on WhatsApp about everything that's going on in the paddock, every truck that goes in, everyone's sort of technical issues or what's happened overnight, if there's any problems with any trucks that needed fixing in the morning, just so we can give you as much information as possible. And without them, you lot wouldn't know as much as I do with what I can relay from where I sit here. But we have 2 race meetings coming up after this. Of course, we head to Le Mans in a few weeks' time, which will be brilliant fun. We head there at the end of September. Race days are 28th and 29th. And then a week later, on the 5th and 6th of October, we head to the season finale in Jarama in Spain, which is always a fantastic race meeting to round out the year. I'm hoping to be on site for both of those, so you may see my ugly mug on screen doing an interview or 2 over the course of the weekend, but we remain to see how plans will come together. I don't think our director wants to see my face on his screen, ruining his poor monitors. But we have now trucks back out on track for Q2. Norbert Kish will be the first one to cross the line and get a time on the board. As you can see, though, speaking of time on the board, there is only 7.5 minutes left to go. Sascha Lenz almost putting Norby under pressure here to get this wound up and crack on. He's hoping to maybe follow Norby and see what some of the braking markers and lines are like, to see if there's anywhere he can find the extra few tenths that Norby beat him by in Q1. But this is a shorter session then, 10 minutes in total length, with the 12 trucks, or now 11, out there on the circuit. And we will then have a 5-minute shootout at the end, which will be the top 6. So they have to be in the top 6 of these trucks to go through now out of this session. There's Sascha Lenz powering his way out of turn 2. his way back down towards turns 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. I'd say possibly one of the trickiest sectors on the entire calendar, this part of the track. Sasha tucks it in nicely there, really smooth on the apex. Uses all of the circuit to run wide on the exit as well, go up through the gears. As I said yesterday, it's a fantastic camera angle down there at turn 10 where the truck completely revolves around the camera angle. And you get to see them get on the power on the exit. You get to see how much the truck moves around on its platform underneath. And when they go up through the gears as well, you get the chirp of the turbocharger as they change up and it releases all that boost pressure. A lot of dust being kicked up there at turn 15. We had quite a lot of that yesterday as well. Every single time they came into shot, there was seemingly a cloud of dust right on the apex of that corner. Going a little bit wide through turn 17. It's a great shot that though, isn't it? As they go through 17, up through the double apex lefts at 18 and 19. And then away from our camera, down towards turn 20. Brake lights on, you can see the truck really dives down on the nose, leans on that front left tyre. Through turn 20. Trying to avoid where there was a penalty marker there previously. Doesn't seem to be now. And then out of the final corner, turn 21. Nice and tidy that from Sascha Lenz. Let's see what the time is like from Norbert Kish. He did a 2:02 earlier. It's even faster now, a 2:01.7 for him. Sascha Lenz does faster than a 2:02 as well. 2:01.894, 2:01.775 for Antonio Albacete. He's only 32 thousandths of a second off pole position. Curzin with a 2:02.5. He'll want to go better than that. 2:02.9 for Mark Taylor. Puts him 1.1 seconds off. What about Jose Eduardo Rodriguez? He goes quicker than his chrome rival. Requenco can't quite beat Taylor on this occasion. He's 4 tenths off him, give or take. Steffi Halm moves into 7th place, just behind Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, but ahead of Mark Taylor. That's not what Mark and the team would want, having that extra truck between them on the grid. John Newell goes 11th fastest. Requenco is now 10th as Heinrich Clemens Hecker moves up into 9th position. 4 minutes left on the clock. And we wait to see who continues on at full pace. It looks like a lot of them are going to rein it in for this sort of in-lap, essentially. I think Albacete might go again here, you know. I think it would be very, very intriguing to see him try that again. See whether he can just gain those 32 thousandths of a second somewhere on the lap. It's a 2-minute lap, so you've got time. Mark Taylor looks like he's not quite pushing on a fast lap here, but it looks like he's at least keeping the pace up to try and get round again as many times as possible. Don't think Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is going to do that. John Newell is, by the look of it. He wants to get past Heinrich Clemens Hecker in the background there. So he wants to get on with another lap to try and improve on that. He's only got to find a few tenths as well to get into the top 10 ahead of Louis Requenco. Steffi Halm wanting to improve also, you can see. She's going past the likes of Requenco and Andre Curzim there, fellow Iveco drivers. So there's a few of them that will be winding up for another go. That's the beauty of these sessions, is that they do get another chance, but to be honest, with how long a lap is around this circuit, it's not often in the final session where they will get more than one opportunity to set a lap time. We had it at Misano earlier in the season, the very first race meeting where this new qualifying format came in, where some of the drivers missed out because they didn't get round quickly enough to do 2 laps. Across the line then goes Mark Taylor. He's got 2.5 minutes left, so even if this lap doesn't come to any sort of fruition for him, he can at least try and set another one after that. But it's Norbert Kish with a 2:01.743 at the moment, a very, very quick time indeed. Just trying to find out what the race lap record is actually around here, because I'm pretty sure it's not much quicker than that. It's a bit cooler at the moment during this qualifying session. I think the lap record fell a few seasons ago actually to Norbert Kish, but it's listed at the moment as David Visecki that set the time as a 2:01.3. That's all the way back in 2009, but that's during a race as opposed to during a qualifying session. Norbert Kisch's best time yesterday was a 2:02.1 during the first race. And yesterday a 2:03.3 for Antonio Albacete, 2:02.9 by Norbert Kisch. So yeah, David Vasecki with the lap record, it seems. I'm pretty sure Norby beat it a few seasons ago. We'll have to check back on that. But as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we have our top 6 going through after this session. And that so far is Norbert Kisch, Antonio Albacete, Sascha Lenz, Jochen Hahn, Andre Kurzim, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, importantly, on his way through, by the look of it, as the only Chrome driver to get through into the session, so he can mix it with the Titan drivers in Q3. We're going to go back down into the pit lane, though. Christina has caught up with Norbert Kisch.
Yes, everyone is checking the tires. We see Csaba Baku here. Everything is good and set?
Yeah, so far so good. We're through. Looking forward for the last section.
We do also. You had a slightly different start than everyone else. You were a bit later on the track right now, and then the red flag situation. How did you get through that waiting phase of the qualification?
You know, nothing special. You know, we just wait here, chill, speak with the guys. It's easy. It's not really a problem.
How challenging is the new format with maybe one lap to go then? How do you get prepped for that special moment?
Oh yes, for sure it's the last section is difficult because it's only 5 minutes. I think one good lap, but you can do a follow-up lap, you know, right after you finish your first lap, but you know, that's usually not really good for the tires. So I think it's very difficult to improve on the second lap. So yeah, I think basically it's a one lap qualifying. So yeah, you know, you have to be, you have to be careful, clever, not to overdo it, but also not to underdrive it too much, you know. So yeah, you have to find the right balance of risk that you take in that one lap where you have the best chance.
Thank you very much. Good luck for that. And of course, if you got a time for 2 minutes and something, you could do 2 laps. But as you said, of course, the tire management is also one of the reasons for just taking one shot at the final round of the qualification.
Yeah, definitely. The drivers need to keep the truck in its best performance window, as they call it, for a session like that. As one of our drivers mentioned earlier, we had this sort of time to let the truck cool down a little bit between the sessions, or at least between the stoppage and the session getting back underway. But that's why the drivers will often go for a fast lap, and then you'll see them have a bit of a chilled out one. As long as they start a fast lap before the timer hits 0, they can complete the lap that they're on. So they can basically take it all the way down to 2 seconds if they time it perfectly, and then get across the line with no questions asked. Steffi Halm on that previous lap was looking to improve, did a 2:03.3. She was actually 0.6 of a second off of her best time. I don't think anybody at the moment is actually on a fast lap by the look of it. It looks like everyone on their way in. That's a lie, because there's John Newell going very quickly round turn 20 into turn 21. And then across the line he goes to complete qualifying 2. Is there an improvement there? 2:03.7 to beat? No, that time round it was a 2:04.0 for John, unfortunately. So he does not beat his time and he does not improve his position. That means then that the top 6 going through will be Norbert Kisch, Antonio Albacete, Sascha Lenz, Jochen Hahn, Andre Kurzim and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, after yesterday having that penalty applied after contact with this man on our screens right now, John Newell. He lost a few championship points. He'll be hoping to recuperate those, starting 6th on the grid. He's in front of Mark Taylor, who's having a sterling weekend so far. We'll have to see what Mark can make of it. There's Heinrich Clemens-Hecker in the gorgeous number 25 Scania. Very unique looking machine. Lots of sharp angles and edges on that thing. Clemens and the team have been very welcoming of me in the last season or so. Never really got a chance to speak to him in the paddock before that. It was sort of towards the end of 2023. I'm told we're going to go back down to Christina in the paddock, though. Let's see what we've got.
Yes, because I'm listening to our English commentator, Chas Draycote, and he mentioned the Fin, the Total Energies Fin of the 100% renewable HVO diesel. And as you can see, this is my hand, this is the Fin. So, Chas, right now you've got an impression how huge this is here. and it's quite decorative. I also love the light green here, and of course I really do appreciate the message of this, and of course we want to cherish the 2-star FIA accreditation reached for sustainability of this championship. So this is also really good news from down here. Just, well, my hand is very small, but I can reach it. I can reach it.
Yeah, like I say, with the relative sort of perspective, they don't look like they're very big when you see them on the truck itself. But yeah, it's a big old panel, that is the shark fin. There's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez making his way down the pit lane. Pulls into their necessary pit box to speak to the team, maybe check over the tyre pressures and so on. Just make sure it's in tip-top condition before the final qualifying section of the day. We'll have the top 6 going out. And as Norby said before, even though they do get time enough for 2 laps, they don't realistically get time enough for 2 laps because they have to be on it as soon as they leave the pit lane. They have a slower out lap, which, while a fast lap here is 2 minutes, a slower lap will be a good 3 minutes or so, maybe even 2:45 if they're trying to get a little bit of a move on. But obviously getting everything up to speed, getting everything up to temperature takes time. There is John Newell on his way in. Number 18 machine, unfortunately, will not be in qualifying 3. Neither will Mark Taylor, Steffi Halm, Heinrich Clemens-Hecker or Louis Riquenco. Stefan Faas will be starting the race from 12th on the grid as well. He won't be too pleased with that one. But it's Taylor that will be 7th ahead of Steffi Halm. Steffi starting 8th on the grid in that one. And we now wait to see who comes out next on the circuit. And of course, we know it's going to be Norbert Kish because he's going to lead them away. So as we had before during qualifying 2, they go back out onto the circuit in the order that they just finished the previous session. So it will be Norby just in front of Antonio Albacete, mere thousandths of a second between them. But I said earlier that Antonio may go for it and put another fast lap in, but all that would have gained him basically would be that he'd be 1 truck length in front when they go out onto the circuit from the pit lane. So maybe not worth putting anything through the tyres, because at the end of the day they still have to use these tyres, the same ones, for this final part of qualifying. They don't change tyres in the pit lane. It's a question I get asked quite a lot actually whenever I'm trying to explain the beautiful truck racing to anybody. They always ask me, you know, what are pit stops like? What are tyre changes like? They're not Formula 1 style 2.5 second pit stops. And I said, no, well, they don't change tyres in the pit lane at all. You can imagine that would be quite the spectacle, though. There's a great thing that we do in Le Mans, actually, where the pit crews and all the engineers and so on, they have a challenge where they have to change a tyre as quickly as possible. And they make a big song and dance of it, actually, on the start-finish straight between some of the sessions. And it's a real old party in Le Mans. I'm really looking forward to the next round of the championship as well. But, of course, we still have 2 races to come from here in Most, one of my favourite circuits on the calendar. Always one of my favourite weekends of the season. It's always great as well because it signifies the return after the summer break. Unfortunately, no visit to Tor Poznan this season. We went there last season in the middle of September and had a fantastic time there, but unfortunately we are not visiting that circuit in 2024. We hope to in future though, because it provided us with a great race meeting and obviously a new challenge for the drivers and the teams. But another blessing of the championship is that we go to some weird and wonderful circuits that you don't always see in other forms of racing as well. Obviously truck racing is quite the niche, so the circuit has to accommodate for a lot of many different things. It's great that truck racing does go to some of these fantastic tracks all around the world. And we now head out onto the circuit for the final qualifying session then. So top 6 out on track: Kish, Albacete, Lenz, Harm, Kurzim and Rodriguez. And there's already only 4 minutes left, so you can bet that there will be only a few drivers making it through to do 2 laps here. So there may be a benefit to being at the front and being quicker in qualifying 2 than some of your rivals. Still beautiful conditions here at Most, though. It's nice and sunny at least. A little bit of cloud in the air, so it's not too hot. But at the same time, the teams will prefer that to having it rain. Not sure if there's any rain scheduled for later in the day. It does come around quite quickly in Most when it rains. So I'm not sure how ahead of the schedule many of the engineers or anybody will be. You can see the hills stretching very high up in the background there. It's almost like Most is in a little bit of a valley. It's sort of, it's flat around it, but in the background you do see a lot of the hills as well. There's a lot of elevation changes off in the distance. There you see Sascha Lenz, third fastest in that session. Jochen Hahn was fourth fastest, and I know that he'll still be happy with that, to be amongst that sort of top four, the front two rows on the grid. Andre Curzim and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez starting to back off a little bit here just to leave space. We've got 2.5 minutes left on the clock now. Not sure if Jose Eduardo will make it round in time to be able to get 2 laps in. I think Norbert Kish may. He's just, yeah, he's already gone out of the final corner actually, so he definitely will. Antonio Albacete will, but it's whether they need to or not. That's the question. Antonio had a bit of a poor qualifying on Friday, starting 6th on the grid. I spoke to Tim Frost briefly yesterday. He said that after that first race and losing positions, he had to really try his best to keep the morale up. And that second race of the day, obviously Antonio taking a race win, was the best way they could bounce back from that from pole position. Antonio even said it to us himself actually on the grid yesterday, that he was in 8th position. He knew that would give him reverse grid pole, so he didn't really bother fighting too much for those extra points at the time because he knew he could make them up later on in the afternoon with that reverse grid pole position. So, just over 1.5 minutes left, and the fast laps are now underway. A 31.1 in the first sector by Norbert Kish, 31.2 for Albacete, 31.3 for Sascha Lenz, 31.2 for Jochen Hahn, so he goes a little bit quicker. Curzim a 31.4, and a 31.6 for Rodriguez. So Hahn, even though he's the 4th driver on the circuit at the moment, is actually the 3rd quickest in that first sector, but it's all very, very tight. Only half a second between all 6 trucks through the first timing beam. The second sector is the longer one in the middle of the lap. It's about a minute long, this middle sector here. Norbert Kish makes it in 40 seconds actually, so clearly I'm telling a lie. Sorry, it's the 3rd sector that's the long one, isn't it? 40.2, 40.3, 40.7 for the top 3, then 40.5 for Jochen Hahn. So again, Hahn the 3rd quickest through there, matched actually by Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, only a few thousandths of a second difference between the two. Jose Eduardo very quick through that middle sector, but still a few tenths off Norbert Kish. It was a 2:01.7 that he did in qualifying 2. How much can he improve on that? Just 25 seconds on the clock. Not sure he'll need to go for a second time. Here he is then out of the last corner. Breezes past the penalty marker, a tiny kick up of the dust, and as he crosses the line, the lap time is a 2:01.2 from Norbert Kish. That is rapid stuff. Another half a second gained on what he did earlier. 2:01.8 for Antonio Albacete. Doesn't go as quickly as he went in Q2. And as they cross the line, it's a 2:01.723 for Jochen Hahn. He goes second fastest. Sascha Lenz goes 4th, a 2:02.2. Curzim goes 5th, just ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. There's mere thousandths of a second between those guys. Not quite sure who made it through before the checkered flag or not, actually. I think Jochen was moving out of the way there to let Andre go if he needs to, but Andre did not cross the line before the checkered flag fell. I think Albacete did. I think Sascha Lenz did. He might be on for a fast lap here. Let's have a look. Yeah, Albacete and Lenz are both on it. They are both pushing on this lap, so they're both trying to improve. They're currently 3rd and 4th on the grid respectively as we look here at Andre Curzim. There is Norbert Kish. He's backed off from his first lap time, so he's going to most probably take pole position with that. A 2:01.2 is rapid. The race lap record is a 2:01.3. So it's lap record pace from Norby to really set the gauntlet here at Autodrom Most. But we do still have Albacete and Lenz pushing on this lap somewhere around the circuit. Albacete's just completed Sector 2. So too is Sascha Lenz, and he's gone a 1/10 of a second quicker, but he was a 1/10 of a second slower in the first sector. So the two of them now exchanging times through sectors 1 and 2. We'll hopefully see them as they complete their laps, because they will be not too far away from doing so right now, actually. Albacete currently sat in 3rd place, only a 10th of a second off Jochen Hahn. Is he going to be able to beat that time and get on the front row of the grid with his teammate Norbert Kirsch? They lead the team's championship by nearly 100 points at the moment. We'll maybe see Albacete come to the line and see whether he can beat that 2:01.8 that he set just a moment ago. What about Sascha Lenz? Sascha does not improve. He does a 2:02.4. Antonio will be across the line any second now. And he will do a... Wait for it. Or has he backed out? Has he backed out? Because it seems like there's quite a gap. Yes, he did. He actually did back out of the lap in the end. A 2:23.0 for Antonio Albacete. So that does confirm Norbert Kirsch on pole position for another pole here this season. I think that's a 100% record for him. Jochen Hahn will start alongside him on the front row. Antonio Albacete will start 3rd. Sascha Lenz in 4th. Andre Kurzin will be 5th, ahead of Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Great stuff from Norby, yet again, set an incredible pace there. Nearly half a second he grabs pole position by. And we will get the confirmed and combined qualifying result in the not too distant future. But they peel away into the paddock. And another good morning's hard work complete there for Norbert Kirsch. Jochen Hahn in 2nd place again from the front row of the grid. Be hoping to try and overtake Norby into that first chicane. Easier said than done. We saw some of the shenanigans down there at the first chicane yesterday morning. Jochen and Jose Eduardo will head straight back into the paddock after that qualifying session. They don't sort of line up or do any of the sort of 3 wide action that we get at the end of the races. But look at the gorgeous conditions we have here this morning in Most. Hopefully it stays like this all day as well and gives us some dry running. I know a lot of the drivers and teams will enjoy the rain, and it will obviously throw a bit of a spanner in the works, to say the least. But it's a brilliant, brilliant racetrack here at Most. Very, very unique circuit as well, in a gorgeous location. So to confirm the rest of the grid then, we had Mark Taylor will start 7th. Steffi Halm will start 8th on the grid. Following them will be Heinrich Clemens Hecker, who will start 9th. Louis Riquenco completes the top 10. Then we'll have John Newell in 11th place. 12th will be Stefan Faas. And 13th will be Bradley Smith. The result has now been combined between all 3 sessions. I believe Stefan Faas will complete the session in 12th, because even though he was out of the session and caused the red flag, he should be all good. Don't forget we have 2 more races coming up today. Race 3 of the weekend and race 4 of the weekend at 10 to 1 CEST 12:50, and then 4:25 CEST. We'll have the final race of the weekend here from the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Plenty more action coming your way. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the drivers can make of it this afternoon. Here are the qualifying results then before we go. And it is Norbert Kirsch that takes pole position, 2:01.2. Jochen Hahn just under half a second back, with Antonio Albacete 3rd alongside Sascha Lenz on row 2. Andre Kurzim is 5th, with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, the highest placed of the Chrome drivers, in 6th place. Mark Taylor next up in 7th, ahead of Steffi Halm, who will be wanting more from 8th on the grid. Heinrich Clemens Hecker 9th, and Louis Riquenco completing the top 10. Next up is John Newell in 11th place. Stefan Faas is confirmed as 12th, with Bradley Smith in 13th position. Thank you very much for watching, though, and listening, everybody. I'm going to say goodbye for now and hand back down to Christina, who's going to round out the show for us.
Thanks for our fastest commentator on earth. So, Stefan Faas, you had a really quick time, and of course, right now you're confirmed as 12th due to some problems which occurred.
Ja, wir hatten eigentlich eine richtig gute Runde. Und ich habe gemerkt bei der Auslaufrunde, da kam auf einmal ein Geräusch von der Lenkung. Und es wurde immer schlimmer und dann konnte ich zum Schluss nicht mehr lenken. Deshalb musste mich der Abschleppwagen reinziehen und haben dann direkt festgestellt, dass da eine Leitung einen Haarriss hat. Die haben wir direkt ausgetauscht und ich wollte noch eine schnelle Runde fahren, aber es hat halt leider wegen einer Minute nicht gereicht.
So on the outlap, he suddenly heard something, some kind of rumbling, oder wie würdest du es beschreiben, so ein bisschen?
Ja, so wie eine Sirene hört sich das an, das wird dann richtig laut.
Like a siren more, and so he knew that there was something wrong and going on, and then suddenly starting the steering problems, and then they made the analysis, and then he needed to get out of the gravel, and it was a slightly small thing in the tube, which also made that really severe sound, and of course no steering possibility for him. So then there was, of course, a kind of a race against the timing, because he was qualified for the next step. But there was 1 minute missing. So right now starting from P12, was nimmst du dir jetzt vor für das Rennen?
Ja, nix, einfach hoffen, dass die Technik hält und gucken, was passiert. Ich meine, die Rennen sind ja immer sehr interessant hier.
So he says, what do you expect? Nothing. Just keeping our fingers crossed for the techniques. We do also. And also he said that the races here are absolutely interesting. Why?
Ja, die erste Kurve passt halt eigentlich nur ein Truck rein, aber sie meinen immer, sie müssen mit 3 reinfahren. Also gucken wir mal, was passiert.
Danke dir. So he said that the first turn, normally there's just space for 1 truck, as you can see, they're really huge beasts. And but he said, yeah, of course, everyone is trying to get in, sometimes 3 trucks at one time. But of course, it's gentlemen's and gentlewomen's agreement. Everyone is trying to give the absolutely best on the grid, as we also do as a team, all together as one truck family. So the next race is going to be taken place here at Moss at the beautiful sunshine. Lots of fans right now waiting for the moment to get the final photo here and our final words. Please tune in on our live streams later on. We're absolutely happy to be here at Most and wishing you till then a good time, and then see you later.